The notification from my credit monitoring app hit my phone at 0347 hours Kuwait time, and the dollar amount made my blood freeze. Master Sergeant Miles Trask, United States Air Force, 32 years old, currently deployed at Ali Al Salem Air Base, Kuwait. 6 months into what should have been a routine supporting Operation Inherent Resolve, nothing about this morning felt routine anymore. I stared at the screen in my cramped quarters. Someone had opened a new account at my credit union back in Colorado Springs. The initial deposit was $47,000. The account holder was listed as Miles E. Trask. Same name, same social security number, different address. The address belonged to a military surplus store in Denver. I pulled up my banking app. My primary checking account showed normal activity, payroll deposits, automatic bill payments, nothing suspicious. But this ghost account existed somewhere in the system, carrying my identity like a stolen uniform. The surplus store's website loaded slowly on the base Wi-Fi. Tactical gear, night vision equipment, body armor, all the expensive stuff that required federal licensing to purchase, all the stuff that someone with military credentials could order without raising flags. My hands shook as I scrolled through their inventory. Thermal imaging scopes, $12,000 each. Military-grade communications equipment, $8,000 per unit. The kind of gear that disappeared into black markets or ended up in the wrong hands. Someone was using my name, my credit, my military access codes. I checked my wallet. Military ID present. Credit cards accounted for. But somewhere in Colorado, another version of me was spending money I didn't have on equipment I'd never ordered. The base was quiet at this hour. Most airmen were either on duty or sleeping. I sat alone with my phone, watching my stolen identity rack up charges in real time. Another notification popped up. A shipping confirmation. Destination: a warehouse in Aurora, Colorado. Estimated delivery: 3 days. Total value of shipment: $23,000. I screenshot everything. The account details, the shipping information, the itemized list of tactical equipment that could outfit a small militia. My half-brother Derek lived in Aurora. The thought hit me like incoming fire. Derek knew my social security number. He'd helped me fill out paperwork when I enlisted. He had access to my mail when I deployed. He knew my mother's maiden name, my first pet's name, all the security questions that banks love to ask. But Derek was family, blood. The kid I'd protected from bullies in high school. The same Derek who'd cried when I left for basic training. I pulled up his Facebook profile. Recent posts showed him at expensive restaurants, new truck in the driveway, designer clothes, all funded by what exactly? His part-time job at a auto parts store? The pieces were falling into place, but I didn't want to see the picture they formed. Another charge appeared on the ghost account. $15,000 for night vision equipment. My phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown Colorado number. I didn't answer the Colorado call. Instead, I opened my laptop and started digging deeper into the digital trail that was unraveling my life from 6,000 miles away. The ghost account had been active for 8 months, right around the time Derek started posting photos of his new lifestyle on social media. The timeline wasn't coincidence. I logged into my actual bank account and cross-referenced the dates. Every time a major purchase appeared on the fraudulent account, Derek had made a cash deposit into his legitimate checking account. The amounts were always slightly less than the equipment purchases. Resale markup. My credit monitoring app showed 17 different inquiries over the past year, all from tactical equipment suppliers, all approved based on my military credentials and fabricated income statements. Someone had built an entire financial identity around my service record. I called my buddy Marcus Chen back at Nellis Air Force Base. He worked in cybersecurity and owed me a favor from when I'd covered his shift during his kid's emergency surgery. Miles? It's 3 a.m. here, man. I need you to run a trace on some IP addresses. Unofficial. Marcus was quiet for a moment. What kind of trouble are you in? The kind where someone's using my military access to buy restricted equipment. Send me what you have. I'll see what I can dig up. I forwarded him the account information and shipping addresses. While I waited, I dove deeper into Derek's social media presence. The posts told a story of sudden wealth, new apartment, expensive electronics, weekend trips to Vegas, all funded by selling equipment purchased with my stolen identity. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. IP traces back to a coffee shop in Aurora. But get this. Whoever set up these accounts used your actual service records. They had access to classified personnel files. That narrowed the suspect list considerably. Derek didn't have security clearance, but he'd visited me on base twice in the past year. Both times, I'd left him alone in my quarters while I handled duty obligations. My laptop contained everything: service records, security clearance documentation, banking passwords saved in my browser. I'd handed him the keys to my entire life. Another charge appeared on the Ghost account, this time for $18,000 worth of encrypted communication devices, the kind that drug cartels and terrorist cells use to coordinate operations. This wasn't just identity theft anymore. This was potentially national security. I called the base security office and reported the breach. Within an hour, I was sitting across from Captain Rodriguez in a sterile interrogation room, explaining how my half-brother had turned my military credentials into a black market weapons pipeline. How long has this been going on, Master Sergeant Trask? 8 months that I can prove. Possibly longer. Rodriguez pulled up the account information on her tablet. Total damages so far? $127,000 in fraudulent purchases. But the equipment he's moving could be worth double that on the black market. We need to involve federal authorities. This crosses state lines and involves restricted military equipment. She made a call to someone at the FBI field office in Denver. I listened as she explained the situation in clinical terms. Identity theft. Fraudulent use of military credentials. Possible trafficking of restricted tactical equipment. When she hung up, her expression was grim. Agent Sarah Kim from the Denver field office wants to coordinate a sting operation. They've been tracking unusual sales of military-grade equipment in the Colorado area. Your case might be the break they needed. My phone rang again. Same Colorado number from earlier. This time I answered. Miles, thank God you picked up. Derek's voice was strained, panicked. I need to talk to you. It's important. I bet it is. Look, I know you're deployed, but I'm in some serious trouble here. I need your help. The audacity was breathtaking. He'd stolen my identity, destroyed my credit, and potentially armed dangerous criminals. Now he wanted my help. What kind of trouble, Derek? The kind where people are asking questions about equipment I can't account for. Military people, federal people. So he knew the walls were closing in. Maybe you should have thought about that before you started using my name to buy restricted weapons. Silence on the other. Then, how did you find out? Credit monitoring alerts. Bank notifications. The same technology you used to steal from me. Miles, I can explain everything. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You stole my identity, used my military access to purchase restricted equipment, then sold it to whoever was willing to pay. I was going to pay you back. I just needed... You needed what? Drug money? Gambling debts? Or did you just decide that my military service was your personal ATM? Captain Rodriguez was recording everything. The FB. I would want this conversation as... Meet me tomorrow, Derek said. That coffee shop on Colfax where we used to go when you were stationed at Peterson. I'll explain everything. I'm deployed in Kuwait, Derek. I can't exactly hop on a plane. Then when you get back. Please, Miles, I'm your brother. Half-brother. And brothers don't steal from each other. I hung up and looked at Captain Rodriguez. He wants to meet. Perfect. Agent Kim can set up surveillance. We'll get him on record admitting to the fraud. But I wouldn't be there for the confrontation. I'd be stuck in Kuwait while federal agents arrested the person I'd once considered family. My phone buzzed with another notification. The Ghost account had just been used to purchase $22,000 worth of tactical body armor. Derek wasn't slowing down. If anything, he was accelerating his operation before the authorities could shut him down. The equipment he was moving could up anywhere. drug cartels, domestic terrorists, foreign agents, all because I'd trusted my half-brother with access to my personal information. Captain Rodriguez stood up. Agent Kim wants to coordinate with you directly. She'll call within the hour. I nodded, but my mind was already racing ahead to the confrontation that would happen without me. Derek would walk into that coffee shop expecting to manipulate his way out of trouble. Instead, he'd find federal agents waiting, with handcuffs and a list of charges that would put him away for decades. The betrayal was complete. My half-brother had stolen my identity, my military credentials, and my trust. Now he was about to discover that actions have consequences, even when you're family. Especially when you're family. Agent Kim called exactly 53 minutes later. Her voice was sharp, professional, no wasted words. Master Sergeant Trask, I'm Special Agent Kim with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. We've reviewed your case file. Your half-brother has been busy. I was sitting in the communications tent, laptop open, watching Derek's Ghost account in real time. Another purchase had just gone through. Night vision goggles. $8,400. How busy? I asked. 17 fraudulent purchases over the past 4 months. Total value exceeds $340,000. He's been selling to at least 3 different buyers. We've identified connections to a militia group in Montana and a private security contractor with questionable overseas clients. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just identity theft anymore. Derek had turned my military credentials into a pipeline for dangerous equipment reaching dangerous people. We need him to confess on record, Agent Kim continued. Can you get him to that coffee shop meeting? I'm deployed. I can't physically be there. You don't need to be. We'll have you call him while our agents are in position. Guide the conversation. Get him talking about the specifics. Captain Rodriguez leaned over my shoulder, listening to the speakerphone. What about the ongoing purchases? We're monitoring everything. The moment he shows up for the meeting, we'll freeze all accounts and execute the arrest warrant. But Derek was smart. He'd always been the clever one, finding angles that others missed. What if he sensed the trap? Agent Kim, what if he doesn't show? Then we'll track him down the hard way. But family meetings feel safe to criminals. He thinks he can manipulate you. She was right. Derek had been manipulating me since we were kids, borrowing money he never repaid, using my name to get out of trouble. I'd always covered for him because Mom asked me to look after my little half-brother. Now that misplaced loyalty had armed people who shouldn't have access to military-grade equipment. When do we do this? I asked. Tomorrow morning, 08:00 Mountain Time. That's 1600 your time in Kuwait. The next 16 hours crawled by. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on my duties. Every notification on my phone made me check the Ghost account. Derek kept spending. Tactical radios, encrypted communication devices, body armor plates. He was building an arsenal. At 15:55 Kuwait time, I was back in the communications tent. Agent Kim had patched me into their surveillance network. I could hear the coffee shop's ambient noise through their hidden microphones. Target approaching from the east, a voice reported. Male, approximately 30 years old, wearing a gray hoodie. Derek. Right on time. My phone rang. Agent Kim's voice was calm. He's inside, ordering coffee. Make the call now. I dialed Derek's number. It rang twice. Miles? You said you couldn't make it. I'm calling from Kuwait. Put me on speaker so we can talk properly. Okay, hold on. I heard the phone being placed on a table. The FBI's microphones would pick up everything now. Derek, I need you to explain exactly what you've been doing with my information. Look, I know you're mad, but... I'm not mad. I'm curious. How did you get access to my military procurement credentials? Silence. Then, you left your laptop open when you visited last Christmas. I took photos of your login screens. Agent Kim had told me to keep him talking. Get specifics. And then what? You just started ordering equipment? It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. My friend Marcus said he knew collectors who'd pay good money for authentic military gear. I figured I'd make a few thousand and pay you back before you noticed. Marcus who? Marcus Kellerman. He runs a surplus store in Colorado Springs, I heard typing in the background. The FB, I was already running that name. How much have you made, Derek? Maybe 60 grand total. But I've got expenses. The storage unit costs money. Gas driving to meet buyers. It's not all profit. 60,000. He'd stolen over $300,000 worth of equipment and only made 60,000. The rest had gone to buyers who were probably reselling it for 10 times what they paid Derek. Who are these buyers? Just collectors, man. People who like military stuff. Derek, I've seen the purchase records. Night vision, body armor, encrypted radios. That's not collector gear. That's operational equipment. Another pause. Longer this time. Some of the buyers might be more serious than others. Serious how? Look, I don't ask questions. They pay cash, I deliver the goods. What they do with it isn't my problem. Agent Kim's voice came through my earpiece. That's enough. We're moving in. I heard chairs scraping. Footsteps. Derek's voice suddenly panicked. What the hell? FBI! Derek Trask, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and illegal weapons trafficking. Miles, what did you do? I stayed on the line, listening to my half-brother being read his Miranda rights. The betrayal was complete, but so was the justice. Agent Kim came back on my direct line. We got him. Full confession recorded. The storage unit address he mentioned is already being raided. What happens now? Federal charges. With the amount involved in the weapons trafficking angle, he's looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. 15 to 20 years. Derek would be in his late 40s when he got out. If he got out. Master Sergeant, there's something else. We found that your half-brother was planning to expand the operation. He'd been researching other military personnel's social media accounts, looking for targets. My blood went cold. Other service members? Deployed personnel specifically. People who couldn't monitor their accounts closely. You weren't his first victim, and you wouldn't have been his last. The scope of Derek's betrayal kept expanding. He hadn't just stolen from me. He'd been building a systematic operation to exploit deployed military personnel. We'll need you to testify when you return from, Agent Kim said. But the recorded confession should be enough for conviction. 3 weeks later, I got the call. Derek had pled guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. 12 years in federal prison. Full restitution ordered, though the money was long gone. The equipment had been recovered from the storage unit and 3 buyer locations. Some of it had already been sold to unknown third parties. That gear was still out there, in hands that shouldn't have it. But the pipeline was shut down. Derek's operation was finished. Captain Rodriguez found me in the mess hall that evening. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Family betrayals hit different than stranger crimes. He was right. A random identity thief would have been easier to process. Derek's betrayal cut deeper because it violated something fundamental about trust and blood relations. But it also clarified something important. Family isn't just genetics. It's loyalty, respect, and shared values. Derek had never really been family in the ways that mattered. The real family was sitting across from me, Captain Rodriguez, who'd helped me navigate the investigation. Sergeant Chen, who'd covered my duties while I dealt with federal agents, the unit that had my back when everything fell apart. My phone buzzed with a final notification from the Ghost account. Account permanently closed due to fraudulent activity. It was over. Derek was in custody. The equipment pipeline was shut down. Justice had been served. But I knew the real work was just beginning. 6 months later, I was back at Fort Carson, Colorado. The rotation had ended. Kuwait felt like another lifetime. The morning routine was simple now. Coffee at 0530. PT formation at 0630. No more checking ghost accounts or monitoring federal investigations. Derek's case was closed. The restitution payments would take years, but they were automatic now. I didn't think about them. My new apartment was sparse. Basic furniture. No family photos. I'd thrown those away after the trial. The only decoration was a certificate on the wall. Recognition from the Air Force Office of Special Investigations for assistance in a multi-victim fraud case. Apparently, my cooperation had helped them identify 17 other service members who'd been targeted by similar schemes. Most of them never knew they were victims until OSI contacted them. I'd started something new in my spare time, a small project that grew bigger than expected. I launched an online forum dedicated to fraud survivor stories. Military personnel shared their experiences, warning signs, recovery strategies, legal resources. The forum had 300 active members now. Stories came in daily: identity theft, romance scams, investment fraud, family betrayals like mine. Each story reminded me that Derek's operation wasn't unique. Predators always target deployed personnel. Distance makes us vulnerable. Trust makes us easy marks. But knowledge makes us stronger. Sergeant Chen visited last weekend. He'd been promoted to staff sergeant. We grabbed dinner at a local steakhouse, talked about normal things: work, sports, future assignments. He didn't mention Derek once. Neither did I. That evening, I got a message through the forum. A Navy petty officer stationed in Bahrain. His brother had been using his identity to open credit cards. The pattern was identical to Derek's early moves. I spent 2 hours walking him through the documentation process. How to contact OSI. Which financial institutions to notify. How to preserve without alerting the perpetrator. 3 days later, he messaged again. His brother was in custody. The credit cards were frozen. The investigation was moving fast because he'd followed the playbook exactly. That's what the forum was really about: creating a playbook, sharing hard-won knowledge so others didn't have to learn the same lessons through pain. My phone stayed quiet now. No ghost notifications. No federal agents calling with updates. No lawyers requesting additional testimony. The silence used to feel empty. Now it felt clean. Derek would serve 8 more years. The plea deal had reduced his sentence, but federal prison time moves slowly. He'd written me twice from his facility in Pennsylvania. Both letters went straight into the trash, unopened. Some bridges burn completely. Some trust breaks beyond repair. But new connections form. The forum members understood betrayal in ways that civilian friends couldn't. We'd all learned the same bitter lesson about family loyalty being earned, not inherited. Last month, I'd helped coordinate a legal fund for a Marine whose sister had stolen his entire savings. The forum raised enough money to cover his attorney fees. Justice moved faster when victims had proper representation. The work felt right, purposeful. Each case we helped solve prevented future victims. Each story we shared built collective wisdom. My alarm went off at 0530. Another day starting. Another chance to help someone avoid the mistakes I'd made. The coffee was strong. The morning was quiet. The silence felt earned. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.